Well, you guys spoke up, and there are more famous ham radio operators that I didn't even realize or consider. Let's explore some of these. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Ham Shack TV. I'm your host, Josh AA4WX. You guys spoke up. There was apparently quite a bit of other hams that I did not mention that are famous or well known people. Now, keep in mind, that list was just a top 10 list. That's why they didn't make the top 10 list, because I'd never heard of them. So, before we dive in, I want to let you know that this video is brought to you by the Ham Shack TV store. Go to hamshacktv.com and check out everything that we've got: radios, cables, connectors, prepper stuff. Go check it out. hamshacktv.com. All right, let's dive in and see what we got here. So we are going to look at a website. This is courtesy of Ham Radio Insider. Ham Radio Insider. And let's start with some authors that were ham radio operators. We already talked about K2ORS Gene Shepard. Go back and check out that video. We'll also do a more detailed profile on Gene at a later date. KA6UXR, Dr. Alex Comfort, author of The Joy of Sex. That's interesting. We're not going to talk about that here on the channel, but good for Dr. Alex. Kilo Golf 7, Juliet Fox, Jeff Duantiman. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Author and publisher of the Coriolis Group. Not sure what that is. Tango India 2, Delta Romeo, Dr. David Rubin, MD. Everything You Wanted to Know, author of that. All right, astronauts and cosmonauts. Now, this list, I'm sure there are people left out on this list, because there are a lot of American astronauts that were ham radio operators. Guys, go ahead and jump down in the comments. If we've got some folks missing on the astronaut list, let me know who they are. We will highlight them in another video. Let's get started. 7 Lima 2 November Juliet Yankee. DR Mamoru Mahori, Japanese cosmonaut. Delta Bravo 1 Kilo Mike Reinhard Furrer, German. Delta Papa 3 Mike India Romeo, Dr. Ulf Merbold, German. Golf Bravo 1 Mike India Romeo. Helen Sharman, British cosmonaut or astronaut. I don't know what the difference between a cosmonaut and an astronaut is. Let me know in the comments what the difference is. Kilo Echo 5 Charlie Golf Romeo, Christer Fuglesang, Swedish. Then we got Kilo Golf 6 Fox Zulu X-Ray, Dennis Tito, who was the first space tourist. Very interesting. November 5 Quebec Whiskey Lima, J. Apt, American astronaut. November 5 Yankee Victor, Kathy Sullivan, American astronaut. Oscar November 1 Alpha Fox Delta, Count Dirk Freemuth, Belgian. Romeo Victor 3 Delta Whiskey, Sergei Ayayev. Sure, go ahead and make fun of me. I have no idea. Russian cosmonaut. Uniform Victor 3 Alpha Mike Musa Manurov, Russian cosmonaut. Uniform Alpha 1 Lima Oscar Yuri Gagarin, Russian cosmonaut. Last three are American astronauts. Whiskey 0 Oscar Romeo Echo, Tony England. Whiskey 5 Lima Fox Lima, Owen Garriott. And Whiskey Alpha 4 Sierra India Romeo, Ron Paris. Like I said, there's probably more astronauts, especially Americans. Let me know who I missed down in the comments. We're just going based off of this. All right, let's go to singers and musicians. Kilo 0 Hotel Whiskey Yankee, Tex Benke is a band leader. This is one I forgot and probably should have made the top 10, but I have to also try to figure out who they would have replaced. This is a challenge. But Kilo Alpha 6, Hotel Victor Alpha, Burl Ives, the famous singer. And when I think of Burl Ives, folks, I think of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Rankin and Bass. I guess that was a claymation. I'm not sure if that was clay or not, but everybody knows it. It aired on CBS every year for me growing up. And then this year, I think it moved to NBC. We talked about Patty Loveless. I did misspeak in the Patty Loveless video. The title was correct, but I misspoke her call sign. Kilo Delta 4, Whiskey Uniform Juliet. Whiskey Alpha 4, Whiskey 4, Charlie Golf Papa. This is a correction. We talked about Chet Atkins in the old video, or the video the other day. I was not aware he got a different call sign before he had passed. We had said in the video Whiskey Alpha 4 Charlie Z Delta. Well, he's actually Whiskey 4 Charlie Golf Papa. That's Chet Atkins. We talked about Ronnie Millsap. We talked about Joe Walsh. Now this is great. Whiskey Delta 4 Lima Zulu Charlie. Larnell Harris. Now, Larnell is listed as a country singer, but I know Larnell Harris is a gospel singer. So a lot of times country and gospel crosses over each other. And finally, in the singers category, Whiskey November 3, Oscar Quebec Whiskey, Jim Croce, singer-songwriter. All right, politicians. We love our politicians, don't we? Kilo 4, Tango Papa Juliet, David Funderburg, United States Congressman and Ambassador. We talked about Barry Goldwater. Apparently, he may have had another call sign, Kilo 3, Uniform India Golf. These are Canadians. Victor Echo 3, Romeo X-Ray, Arthur Mean, Canadian Cabinet Minister. Victor Echo 3, Victor Golf Whiskey, Giles Morin, Canadian Deputy Speaker. Victor Kilo 5, November India Victor, Ivan Venning, Australian MP. And then finally, Whiskey 3, Alpha, Charlie Echo, Armin Mayer, not sure how that is, United States Ambassador to Japan. Now for presidents and prime ministers. Now I do want to point out something. Someone in the comments had said Herbert Hoover was a ham. And I did research, and it wasn't the president, Herbert Hoover. It's Herbert Hoover's son. It says Herbert Hoover's Jr., son of 31st President of the United States, was a ham radio operator and president of the ARRL. Fact check that. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it says he was president in the early 60s. He was also engineer and worked as a radio technician for Western Air Express. I bet Herbert Hoover Herbert Hoover Jr. did a better job as president of the ARRL than what we got. Shots fired, folks. Shots fired. I'm about fed up based off of everything I was reading. Guys, let me comment on that just a second. Don't mean to get off to the topic of this video, but if you haven't already, go check out the video I posted the other day about the issues with the ARRL. The ARRL is in just bad shape right now from a management perspective. And nothing's going to change until something changes. Meaning, we're going to have to stop paying our dues, folks, and start protesting. You know, the ARRL should be our voice. They should have ham's best interest in play. But so many of you have been mistreated by the ARRL, and that needs to stop. And, you know, part of why I'm doing this channel and why I'm talking to you guys is, you know, I want to be your friend. I may not see eye to eye on everything that y'all put in the comments, but I want to make content for you guys, and I also want to be your voice. So I appreciate you watching and subscribing, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. Help me out, guys. Appreciate you being here. And several of you have been commenting about the United States Ham Radio Council. Go check those guys out, ushrc.net. Website's a little dated, but they are very active. Go check it out. You might like them. Anyway, let's get back to work here. So we talked about Herbert Hoover. It was not President Hoover. It was Herbert Hoover Jr. Let's see here. Moving on. These are presidents of other countries, and I'm not going to waste time trying to pronounce these. President of Italy, President of Argentina, India, Premier of the Cook Islands, and the President of Nicaragua all were famous hams. Royalty and head of state. Not going to try to pronounce these either, but you had the Prince of Kuwait, the Sultan of Oman, the King of Spain, the King of Thailand. I believe that's supposed to say Prince of Thailand, but if I'm wrong, it's the price of Thailand. Prince of Saudi Arabia, Of course, everybody mentioned King Hussein of Jordan. Juliet Yankee 1. And apparently his wife, Noor, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Juliet Yankee 2, Queen of Jordan, was also ham. Stage, screen, TV, and radio. Most of these are news, folks, but we'll get into it here. Golf 2 Delta Quebec uniform. Lord Brian Ricks, actor. Golf 2 makes me think that that's probably England. Golf 3 Yankee Lima Alpha Jim Bacon, weatherman for the BBC. Kilo 4 Lima India Bravo Arthur Godfrey. So many of you got in talking about Arthur Godfrey. I'll be honest, I've never heard of Arthur Godfrey, but here is Arthur Godfrey right here. This is him. Never heard of him. Of course, it's before my time. And full disclosure, folks, I am 36 years old, so that was before my time. But there's your Arthur Godfrey, guys. There he is. Roy Neal, television reporter for NBC News, Kilo 6 Delta Uniform Echo. We've already talked about Walter Cronkite, the evening news anchor for CBS. Kilo Charlie 4, Oscar Charlie Alpha, Gordon Barnes, weatherman for KCBS, which is out in California. Kilo Delta 6, Whiskey Uniform Sierra, Hugh Downs. I guess Hugh Downs was probably a game show host at one point, but what I remember Hugh Downs from, being a child back in the 90s, watching TGIF on ABC's Primetime Light Up on Friday nights, is right after TGIF was over, you saw Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters get on and say, "Good evening, I'm Hugh Downs." "And I'm Barbara Walters. And this is 2020. Anyway, make fun of me, I don't care. Hugh Downs, really like Hugh. Always liked his television presence. We talked about Marlon Brando. Apparently Marlon did have an American call sign too. Kilo Echo 6 Papa Zulu Hotel. Kilo India 6 Mike, Stu Gilliam, comedian, not familiar with him. And then finally Lloyd Bachner, not familiar with him either. He's an actor. November 6 Charlie, Kilo Foxtrot. All right, guys, get in the comments. Let me know who we're still missing on the list. And I appreciate you guys watching. Let's not worry about generals and unless they are a big, huge general like Eisenhower or shoot, I'm forgetting some of them off the top of my head. A lot of folks aren't going to know military folks, if we're just being completely honest. But get in the comments and let me know about some notables that I've missed. And if you want me to do a more in-depth profile about any of these guys, please let me know. I'm more than happy to do some more research. Guys, again, don't forget about the Ham Shack TV store. Go check it out. We've got everything you need. And if we don't got everything you need, get with me. I'll get it in the Ham Shack TV store. Go check it out. HamShackTV.com. We've got Icon, Kenwood, Yaesu, TYT, Baofeng, the list goes on and on. Digital, analog, HF, UHF, VHF, antennas, connectors, power supplies, prepper food, prepper supplies, survival stuff. Check it out. HamShackTV.com. Guys, can't thank you enough for watching. Can't thank you enough for your support. If you like what I do, make sure you hit the like button down below and leave some comments as well. Thanks for watching. 73s, y'all. We'll see you in the next one. AA4WX, WSEB 693.